In the words of the great Gus Johnson, Jordy Bahl. Ha!
You are Locked On Nebraska, your daily Nebraska Cornhuskers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I don't know if he said that, but he might say it soon. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for making Locked On Nebraska your first listen today and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year.
Welcome in. It is Monday, May 19th. Thank you for joining us on the Locked On Nebraska podcast. I'm Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Connor Happer, 1620 The Zone, is with me. Yes, it was a huge weekend for Jordy Bahl and Nebraska Softball, and a giant week ahead for Nebraska athletics in that area, along with the game played on the other diamond, Nebraska baseball, which will be in Omaha as the number 8 seed in the Big Ten tournament starting on Tuesday. We are going to get to all of that in the second segment of this show, but we want to start with some football because this is a podcast that focuses on football. And on Sunday, Nebraska football recruit commitment, the commitment for 2027 quarterback Trey Taylor was one of the stars of the Elite 11 regional in State College, Pennsylvania. Yes, on the campus of Pennsylvania State University, where Nebraska will play this coming November. Trey Taylor has been in the headlines for all of this month since his commitment to Nebraska. He shared honors in the accuracy challenge at the Elite 11 regional with Michael Clayton, who is the 2026 prospect that Nebraska was after for a while before Dayton Raiola took that spot. He is committed to Illinois, Michael Clayton. And then Weber Marks also shared in that accuracy award. He's a 2027 from New Hampshire. So, hey, Trey Taylor, how about that? It's all about Trey Taylor. Should we be talking about Trey Taylor more, Connor?
Should we be talking about Trey Taylor more? Man, I don't know. I kind of feel like we're talking about Trey Taylor enough. I feel like we're talking about Trey Taylor like a lot.
We've mentioned him a lot.
Yes, this is in the absence of course, other things that are happening. But I think you got him committed for a couple years down the line, which is really good. And it seems like I think the one thing that I've picked up about him, we'll see how good he is at football. This is a good step. One thing that I've definitely picked up about him is that seems to be connected with just about everybody, and doesn't mind sending out a tweet. It's like, hey, we should, link up or whatever it is. So that's good. I think Nebraska's got somebody working for him at the moment. And I assume, he continues to spread the word at events like this, which is good.
I can't remember if I said this on our podcast or if I said it somewhere else. I can't remember where I say things anymore. I could just say them in my house, and it's hard to know. My kids told me that Trey Taylor posted on Instagram like 27 times in like the 3 days after he committed to Nebraska.
Whoa.
So about his commitment. So he is out there promoting the Nebraska brand. And that was 2.5 weeks ago. So who knows what's happened since then, but he is out there promoting the Nebraska brand, really unlike anyone else who is committed to Nebraska in the 2026 or 2027 class. Like, he's taken on the role of being the recruit at 15 years of age who wants to carry the flag for this program moving forward for the next 2 years. And, that's not a job that that's an important job. And I will say this about Trey Taylor, and maybe this will be his legacy at Nebraska, because you just don't know when someone's 15 and they're a sophomore in high school, what is going to happen if they ever make it to school and get that ball in their hands and start a game. Like, it would seem like that's his future, but you just don't know when he's 15 years old. I will say this, his impact right now and before he gets to Nebraska has an opportunity. It's on track to be more significant than Dylan Raiola, because Dylan Raiola was committed to Nebraska for all of like 2 days before he signed with the Huskers in December of 2023.
Yeah, I do think though, like Dylan's really impactful, immediately, like in that regard. And I know that as well, but he, to your point, he just has a really, really long lead up time. And I did look, he does seem to be quite active on the old Instagram there. Maybe, I don't know, 15-year-old kids could do whatever they want, but very active on social media. So, that's probably a different topic for a different podcast or a different day.
It's probably not something that we need to be tracking and hanging on each word. And it took a 14-year-old and an 18-year-old to point that out to me. But hey, he's got those people in that age bracket, which on the upper end of that are the ones that Nebraska football wants to catch the eye of. He's got that demographic hanging on his every word. Like, he's one of those recruits, and these guys come around. Sometimes they turn out to be stars and sometimes not at all, but these guys come around in every few classes. Nebraska certainly had some of these front men. When you go back to like the Bill Callahan era, and if you look at the 2005 class, which is still Nebraska's highest rated class ever, there were players who took on this role of just being out there and selling the program. And it's more pronounced in today's world because he can just do it on social media.
Here we go. Here it is. Trey Taylor is the 2027 Buki Bradley Hiles.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, was
obviously,
it one time?
He didn't end up being at Nebraska because the coach he committed to got fired, but he did commit to Nebraska in April of whatever year that was.
And he definitely, like, he had a brand, and he promoted it. And think about that. At that time, there was no NIL. Now, when Trey Taylor has motivation to do this stuff because it helps him get paid. I mean, if you go to I'm not checking out his Instagram. I haven't done that, but I probably won't. But I'm looking at his X page, his Twitter page, and you see that he's represented by an agency, which not a lot of 15-year-olds are. But if you're a 4-star quarterback and you're committed to a Big Ten program, then that's the right thing to do. And he has there's a lot in it for him. Like, he's not just trying to bring players to Nebraska, the place where he plans to play his college football career, but he's racking up potential NIL dollars. Maybe he's making NIL money right now. I don't know how the laws work in the state of Illinois.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can't fault him for it. And, right now, I think Nebraska has got a sort of unique opportunity to let that work to their advantage. I got to tell you what, though, the B story in this recruiting segment is fascinating to me. So you followed up on this a little bit. We learned on Friday that Terry Bradden, Nebraska's defensive line coach, headed over to Sweden to recruit. Amazing. First of all, what the hell is my first question? How and why? I guess 2 questions in one.
Well, there's a prospect in Sweden. His name is Valdin Sone. I hope I'm getting that right.
Nice.
He's a well-known prospect. Sone is the last name. 6'3", 315-pound defensive lineman, recently reclassified from the 27 class to the 26 class. So the urgency to recruit him has become greater. Being recruited by SEC programs, Big Ten programs, considered, according to 24/7, a lean for Florida. They're in the business of predicting Sonet has some visits set up, Florida among them, Nebraska not among the visits that he has planned in June, but there's a spot or a 2 or 3 for Valdin Sone, who has been playing high school football in Virginia. So this is not like he's in Sweden and playing high school football in Sweden. I don't think the market is there in Sweden. But
I'm glad you said that, because I thought they just plucked this guy out of nowhere.
No, they've seen him. He was a star at the Army, the All-American Bowl.
Sure.
That is contested in San Antonio each year. He was a star at the underclassmen combine this last winter. So people know about him. Here's the thing that I found most interesting about Mr. Sone. His family is from Cameroon, and he grew up playing soccer, and on a lesser interesting level, practicing jiu-jitsu, I believe is what I read. So if the stuff about Cameroon and playing soccer doesn't pique your interest in a very big way, then you should educate yourself on great defensive linemen in Nebraska football history.
What a familiar story. Interesting. I would absolutely throw everything at him just because of that connection. Talk about I don't think Nebraska has recruited very many people ever that fit that description, but the one that they have turned out to be pretty freaking good. So
he has an excellent case to be classified as the greatest defensive player in the history of Nebraska football. So we're of course talking about Ndamukong Suh, and it would sure be nice, I'm sure, for Nebraska if Mr. Suh could make a visit to campus around the time that they don't even have a date now set up for Sone to come in. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but
we'll get there.
Apologies if I'm not. But if you can get him to come in, and even if you can just like show him some photos, hey, look at the inductee from last fall into the Nebraska Athletics Hall of Fame. And the weight room at one time in the old space was named after Ndamukong Suh.
Mm-hmm.
The engineering college at Nebraska has some significant Ndamukong Suh contributions that played a role in constructing that facility. So he's a fairly big man on campus, even 15 years after his great season.
What if
senior season?
What if Big Mr. Suh just called him just out of the blue one day? Called Big Mr. Sone just out of the blue and said, "Hey, I heard you like soccer, or something like that." Like, that would be great. That would be fantastic.
There's some rules on that. I don't know. There are no rules anymore. It'd be like if if Tennessee was recruiting a quarterback and Peyton Manning called him. Yeah. It might happen.
Peyton Manning on every single commercial ever. Why not? Well, why not?
It probably does happen. The kid goes to the Manning Quarterback Academy, and there you go. He can talk to Peyton Manning. All right. That's all we're going to say about Nebraska football recruiting for this podcast. There will be much more to talk about in the month of June, because it's a huge month coming up for Nebraska. It's a huge week, though, coming up for Nebraska baseball and Nebraska softball, and we're going to talk about that coming back next.
But first, a message from our friends at Monarch Money. Things can get a little bit expensive these days, and it's easy to lose track of where all your money went. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. Track all your accounts, investments, spending, all in one place, so you stop managing your money and you start building that wealth. It has all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and then build on top of that. Plan your long-term goals. Take control of your finances today with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. 50% off your first year. monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, Mitch Sherman, Connor Happer with you. Welcome back. You mentioned it, big week for Nebraska softball and baseball. We'll get to baseball. I think we still both have probably lingering complaints about the Big Ten baseball tournament format that we can talk about during the show. But let's spend a couple minutes on Nebraska softball. We're parachuting in here a little bit, but this is a big story.
Fine.
We've mentioned it offhand a few times, but the big story with Nebraska softball really blew up this weekend, and that's because Nebraska went undefeated, swept through the Baton Rouge regional without ever even having to play LSU, the host team, and they ruled in 2 out of their 3 games this weekend. So a convincing way through to get to a super regional where they'll play Tennessee next week. That is not the A story. The A story is this: Jordy Bahl. Don't know if you've heard of her. Here is what she did this weekend. She went at the plate 5 for 5 with 4 home runs, 7 RBI, 8 runs scored, and 7 walks. She was walked 7 times at the plate. So she came to the plate 12 times and reached base all the time. And she was also at the plate when they walked off UConn in the first game. So you don't count that as anything. But anyway, in the circle where she started all 3 games for Nebraska, she threw 12 innings. She gave up 2 hits, a run, walked 4, and struck out 16. These stats are real life stats. She's now hitting .475 on the season. And she has 25 wins and she has 23 home runs on the season. So go ahead, take a second, grasp all that and let me know what you think.
She needs 2 home runs, which should come in 2 at bats. Probably not. Tennessee's really good, but that's the way it went in the regional. She needs 2 home runs. If she can get those, she will become the first player in college softball history to have 25 home runs and 25 wins in the same season. I don't know the college softball landscape extremely well. I know there are some great teams out there, and many of them play in the SEC, and Nebraska's playing one of those teams this weekend in Knoxville, Tennessee. And if the Huskers win, you better believe that Oklahoma, where Jordy Bahl won 2 national championships and was named the most outstanding player of the 2023 Women's College World Series as a sophomore, where she played, you better believe that the Sooners will be waiting in the next game for Nebraska if it can manage 2 wins against Tennessee, that would be an incredible story. I cannot believe there is a better candidate for National Player of the Year than what Jordy Bahl. No one has ever gone 25-25. So, okay, you probably can show me some softball player who's hitting like 600 with like a 2000 OPS, and I'll say, did they win 25 games as a pitcher?
Right. There's not enough. So like in the podcast world these days, it really, in the cold open, I could have said like Jordy Bahl is the something, and you try to come up with something grabby and hyperbolic, but like it's there's nothing to do that isn't like true. You would have to go far beyond, like you'd have to say like Jordy Bahl, if she's already a great softball player. I don't even know. I can't even finish the sentence, right? Like she is carried and give credit to her teammates because they've been, the Ava Cusack has been, incredible this year as well. Just 20 plus home runs in the year.
They've hit more than 100 home runs as a team. Yeah.
They're bombing the ball. Yeah. So but let's be real about this. I mean, she's carrying Nebraska into a super regional, and she did it on the regional round pretty much single-handedly. I mean, so that's
she got some help at the plate for sure. But I mean, she did everything as the pitcher. So, and that's a luxury that you don't have in baseball. You can lean on one player, which is why Nebraska is not a team that anyone in the postseason wants to see. Like she takes it up a notch in the postseason. Like that was plainly evident from her time as a Sooner. This is a Papillion La Vista grad, by the way. So the doing it for her home state school now, and whatever level she upped her game to while at Oklahoma, like she just repeated that in the LSU regional. So like the college softball world is on notice. Like she has to be the number one story going into super regionals on the college softball landscape. And it's the Jordy Bahl show is going to Tennessee, and it's going to be something to watch here this coming week.
Yeah.
She's the Shohei Ohtani of college softball. Like that. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, like, but she's, and we're familiar with baseball, so we talk about it in baseball terms. So these numbers like absolutely completely jump off the page. But
yeah,
so she's hitting 475 with 23 home runs and 66 runs driven in. She leads the team in batting average, runs, hits, runs batted in, doubles, triples, home runs, stolen bases. She's struck out 14 times the entire year. She's only struck out 14 times the entire season. She's hitting 629 with runners in scoring position, and she has 25 bleeping wins in the circle. So, I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. I am dumbfounded just saying it out loud.
I mean, we should probably rename this podcast Locked On Jordy Bahl until Nebraska's softball season is over.
Deal. Until further notice, until through next weekend at the very least. This is the Jordy Bahl softball show.
All right. We're going to talk about the Big Ten baseball tournament, which is a mess. That's coming up next, right after this. All right, back with you on this Monday. Mitch Sherman, Connor Happer. Big Ten baseball comes to Omaha and Charles Schwab Field right now. The action starts tomorrow on Tuesday. There will be 3 games. So do you want to go through the format and what this tournament looks like? It's
sure.
Laid out for us.
Yeah.
It's odd.
It's great. It's a giant disaster. So Nebraska will be participating in Pool A. They're in a pool, which means they'll play for some reason a game on Tuesday at 6, and then not again until Friday at 6 to complete their pool play round. And it is very possible, if not likely, the game on Friday won't even matter. So there's that. So we have 3 teams in 4 different pools, and then the winner of each pool advances to a semifinal round. And I'm sure you're wondering, wow, wouldn't there be some ties that go along with this? Yes, there will be. There absolutely will be. And for the tiebreaker purposes, the Big Ten has decided that all of the ties in terms of record in the pools will go to the better seeds, the top seeds.
In other words, the teams that don't need the tiebreaker.
Correct. So we've been going for years and years and years, and we've had giant conference tournaments for a very, very long time. This is the first year for the Big Ten, but there's countless examples. Big Ten basketball, there's every other conference's baseball tournament. What do? In order to protect their top seeds, they give them double buys into the Thursday or Friday, the weekend portion. The Big Ten decided they elected to not do that and do something completely new and random. And I can't figure out why. And then even worse in this case for Nebraska, they get put in the pool with the best team in the league, who they have to play on Friday and have to get through to get to the semifinal. And potentially even more hilarious or bad, in the first game, they play Michigan State, who is the 12 seed, who just so happens to have the single best pitcher in the Big Ten Conference.
He's going to pitch on Tuesday night.
By the name of Joseph Zierwa. So he's going to go against Nebraska. So Nebraska's going to have to beat not only the best pitcher in the Big Ten and the best team in the Big Ten, but probably both. But definitely both.
Joseph Zierwa.
I apologize.
I found it. Yeah, I found it on the Michigan State pronunciation channel. He's 6 foot. He's a 6'8" left-hander who's 8-3 with a 2.31 ERA, 98 strikeouts, and 85 2/3 innings. Top 3 projected top 3 round projected MLB pick this summer. I spoke on Sunday with Mark Wasikowski, the Oregon coach, coach of the champion Ducks, the Big Ten champion Ducks. I've got a story coming out about Big Ten baseball heading into the tournament, and he brought up Giroir because he's happy that his team does not have to face the Michigan State ace. They faced him early in the season or during the regular season, and it was a chore for Oregon against the Spartans. So you think, oh, Nebraska, they're the 8th seed, and they luck out because they get into a pool and have the first game against the 12 seed, the last team to get in to the 12-team tournament. And what's waiting for you? 6'8" left-hander like Randy Johnson Jr. on the mound at Charles Schwab Field. And if you lose the game, as you mentioned, then you got to wait 72 hours and come back and play against Oregon, which is probably going to get a national seed and would just be happy going home from Omaha. And that game doesn't matter because Nebraska has to go 2-0 in order to advance to the semifinals.
By the way, I just looked up Mr. Giroir's day against Oregon. This is 3 weeks ago in a series. He threw 9 innings and gave up 3 hits, struck out 11. So yeah, a chore is putting it lightly. He didn't walk anybody. That's unequivocally, I shouldn't say unequivocally, but that's probably the best team in the Big Ten with UCLA right in the conversation as well. Yeah, Oregon. And he completely shut them down for 9 straight innings.
All right. Good luck. Good luck, Nebraska. If you can get by Giroir on Tuesday night and you get a win, then you deserve just with that to be in the semis. But you have to beat Oregon in order to also get there.
Not to mention, you're now playing this tournament in the pitcher's ballpark of all pitchers' ballparks in college baseball. So,
also, have you seen the weather forecast for Tuesday? Have you?
I haven't. Is there some rain coming?
Yeah, not just that. You think it's May 20th. So you're thinking, all right, yeah, this is good. It's May 20th in Omaha. Tuesday's forecast, breezy and cooler with periods of rain and a thunderstorm, high of 57.
Oh no.
Wind west northwest 16, gusting to 35.
Okay, at least that's blowing out at the Chuck Box. So
yeah, rain probability 94%. So there are 3 games on Tuesday. You have Illinois and Michigan at 11 a.m. Is this Eastern time? Yeah, 10 a.m. Whoa. Okay, that's a 10 a.m. game at the Chuck on Tuesday, followed by number 10 seed Rutgers versus number 6 Indiana at 2 p.m. and then Nebraska and Michigan State with Mr. Giroir on the mound, presumably against Tucker Timmerman, Nebraska's new number 1 starter at 6. I know those games may not get played. They may just have to move things around and play on a different day. The rest of the week looks better. 63 according to AccuWeather on Wednesday, and then 69, 65, 71 on the weekend. So
leave it to the conference. Look at what happened. Look at what we saw. The storyline of the Big Ten prior to its tournament, which is now the storyline is about how dumb its tournament is. But the storyline before that was the fact that Iowa was sitting at the top of the league for the entire season, ran their way through their schedule, only to have one tough conference season, get absolutely mollywopped at home in the final weekend of the season. And now they're not going to make the NCAA tournament because there was an outside chance that they could win the conference regular season and still have to win the tournament to get in. Neither of which is going to be happening for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Iowa should be okay, and should be okay. But Iowa has Indiana and Rutgers in its pool, so I don't know if that means it'll be okay. But at least it doesn't have to play the conference champ or the best pitcher in the league. So Nebraska got good times, if weather permitting, in playing on Tuesday night and Friday night. Like, that's ideal for getting big crowds out to downtown Omaha to support the Huskers.
Well, that's if the Friday night game matters. I mean,
you're right. The Friday night game might mean nothing if Jerwa pitches like Jerwa. Yeah.
You have to win. You have to win the first game. Otherwise, you're done. I mean, if you are not one of the top,
you're still going to have to play. You're still going to have to play Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll have to play, but it won't.
But it won't mean anything. The season will be over. The players might as well just leave on Wednesday if they lose on Tuesday night.
Because once again, if everybody is 1-1, the top seed advances, the higher seed advances. So if you're Oregon, you play Thursday, and you have a chance to win that game against Michigan State against not their top starter, and then go into Friday against Nebraska and just lay out if you want to, chill, because you got the Saturday semifinal coming up if you just win that game.
Yeah.
That's so long as Michigan State doesn't win, their, I suppose.
Right. If you have a 2-0, if you have a 2-0 Michigan State.
Yeah, that's in the 1-1 scenario. Yeah.
Right. Just if all three teams are 1-1, then the tie goes to the top seed. You could have a 2-0, 1-1, 0-2 situation, where obviously the 2-0 team, no matter who it is, gets in. Oregon, as you mentioned, just got done playing in Iowa City on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You know where the Ducks are right now, right? They don't play till Thursday.
They're at the world's largest truck stop. Where are they hanging out?
They're in Omaha. They're just hanging out in Omaha for 5 days with nothing to do. Practice a little bit.
Nice.
Just going to chill in Omaha. Wasikowski, he played at Pepperdine on a national championship team. So he's got fond memories of our town. Coached at Arizona when the Wildcats made a College World Series. So, they'll get lots of Omaha food. It's not quite like being here for the College World Series where you spend many days not playing baseball if your team wins. There's not a whole lot set up like on an infrastructure level around the Big Ten tournament. Nothing like what they do in rolling out the red carpet for everybody at the CWS. So there's chilling. Like they won the league. They're going to go to school from their hotel rooms and eat some food, practice a little baseball, enjoy the rain. They'll feel right at home as it rains early this week and get ready to play on Thursday.
Wow. I wonder where they'll practice.
I asked him and he wasn't sure.
Nice.
They don't get a practice like at the CWS. They get a practice inside the big field. No, they don't get that at the Big Ten tournament. So they may be on some high school fields. I don't know. There's state tournament baseball going on at Tal Anderson Field and Warner Park this week. So if they can work around those guys, then they can probably get some time on a solid surface, a high quality surface. By the way, 33 minutes into this podcast, Jack Caglione is coming to Warner Park next week, Connor.
That's right. This week he'll be in Salt Lake City playing for the Omaha Storm Chasers. Next week, the week after Memorial Day, he will be, the week following Memorial Day, he will be in Omaha or Papillion, whatever, at Warner Park, probably hitting 475-foot dongs into a cornfield in right center field. I can't wait. It's going to be great.
I'm very excited about that. Okay, I think we've gone far enough off track here, but we had to mention Jack Caglione, CWS star, to bring it back to college baseball and Charles Schwab Field. CWS star from Florida a year ago, first-round pick of the Kansas City Royals, and he was called up from AA on Sunday, so he will be in our state very soon. If you're a sports fan in the state of Nebraska, take an opportunity to go see Cags at Warner Park this month or next month, fairly soon. I would advise next month because he's going to be at Kauffman Stadium in a short period of time.
Yep.
Okay. Should we end the show with that?
I think it's good.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for making Locked On Nebraska your first listen today. For your second listen, check out The Portal Show because Brian Smith is there and he's got the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find The Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.